with me, I have a distinguished guest who happens to be Professor Anthony Ijewere. He is a lecturer at Novena University. And of course, together we're going to make sense of the ADC coalition and its prospects. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So we're talking about the ADC coalition, and I did say its prospects also. From a political strategy perspective, what factors do you think really led to the ADC coalition party coming on board?
Well, good morning, viewers. I think the basic factors that led to the coalition, it's not just like forming another political party in Nigeria. I think because of the exigency of the situation in the country, when I say exigency, I'm talking about economic hopelessness, hardship, and hunger in the land. And I think since the present administration of President Tinubu took over the realms of affairs in this country, I think Nigerians have not been very comfortable with the economic policies he's pursuing. He will naturally say, well, be patient. I think we have crossed 2 years now. We are going to 3 years. Be patient is still there. I think any good economic system that is not economic voodoo, by now we should start seeing the dividends. I remember when during the later President Buhari's, former President Buhari's time, he used about, he spent about 49 billion naira to service fuel subsidy in 8 years. It may shock you and interest you to know that the present administration of President Tinubu has spent over 100 billion in just 2 years plus to service, for dividends of fuel subsidy. Now, he has spent 100 billion for fuel subsidy. And meanwhile, fuel subsidy was removed. But in Buhari's time, he spent 49 billion to service fuel subsidy. And we were paying 200 and something naira to buy fuel, 240, 230. It was hovering around that region. So what is the implication? It means the fuel subsidy regime and the dividends the government is supposed to derive from there to take care of the needs of Nigeria has failed completely. This is just the truth. And one would have expected that by now, the government should be on its toes, fold its sleeves, and try to see what it can do to ensure that the sufferings of Nigeria is taken care of. It may also interest you that the present economy is growing at 0.5%, not even up to 1%, which means the economy is not moving. It's not moving at all. Graduate unemployment, according to National Bureau of Statistics, is about 59%, which means a lot of graduates are not employed. And if you look at the consumer price index, it's also very, very low. When I say consumer price index, we are talking about the amount available for consumers to spend, to be able to take care of their needs. So if you look at these economic indices of variables, you discover that there's need for reawakeness. And perhaps that was what gave birth to the coalition, because like the members of the coalition said, the key members, they said it's not just like any other political party, that the ADC came for a rescue mission, to see how they can save Nigerians from this hardship that is going on. And though we may also say they have their political interest, but all the same, I think the generality of Nigerians will believe what they are saying in view of the fact that the average Nigerian is a victim of the economic hardship that is going on. So the coalition is heavily welcome if they can organize themselves and ensure that they really care for the interests of the average Nigerian.
Okay, taking a word out of, or a sentence out of your words right now, you said the present government should be on their toes.
Yes.
But there is a lot of skepticism about the structure of the coalition, talking about questions about, one, who is going to be the flag bearer on the 2027 elections? People are already saying that the party is dead on arrival. They are saying that it is, they're saying a lot of things. What are your comments on this?
Well, it's, what do you expect? Is I see it as a political gimmick. After all, what brought APC to power is through coalition. They came in through coalition, Tinubu and Buhari. They had to fuse together, CUPP and all, and the other political parties from Tinubu. They fused together, and as at that time, PDP, who was in power, who was the beautiful bride, was saying, hey, nothing's going to happen, it won't work, and all that. But at the end of the day, here we are, they're in power. You know, so I think it's not the politicians that are going to vote. It's not the politicians, it's the people. It's the people. I still remember 2023 presidential election. After all, Peter Obi did not have state governors. If we could recall, he did not have state governors. But at the same time, you know, he won a lot of states where he didn't have any state governor. So, and what can we deduce from that? It's very clear. What we can deduce from that is the fact that, hey, people are more concerned about their interests. Nigerians are more concerned about their interests because they are the one that wears the economic shoes and they know where it pinches. Therefore, I think if they are sincere members of the coalition, if they are sincere with their agenda, I think Nigerians will definitely cooperate with them, and the ADC may become a very strong party to be reckoned with if they do their homework very well. I strongly believe that the next presidential election in 2027, Nigerians are going to vote with anger. They are going to vote with anger, you know, and if they vote with anger, with me, the ADC is going to have their way. That is the truth. That's my belief. Because you cannot expect a man that is hungry, you now go and give 5,000, 4,000, 3,000 as the case may be, maybe higher 10,000, and you expect that the person will eventually, you know, relax and take it easy and vote for the party in power. So I think the present party, APC, they should not take Nigerians for granted. They should know that the coalition is not just like any other political party. It's a party that has been given birth to in view of the hardship Nigerians are going through. So I will expect, instead of criticizing the ADC, I will expect that the APC should sit up, fold their sleeves, and be ready to work harder to ensure that the problem of Nigerians are going through are taken care of. I think that is the solution. That is what is going to see them through in 2027. It's not the criticism of, the ADC are made up of retired politicians, old horse people. No, I don't think that's the issue. I think the best way to prove to Nigerians is that the party is inconsequential. The best way to prove is to work harder and make sure that the average Nigerian can buy fuel conveniently without stress, and the income, the per capita income of the average is increased. Even the minimum wage, not all states have paid, and we know we are aware of that. So how do you expect people to survive? The unemployment rate is very, very high and all that. So these are the issues. So criticism is not the answer. The right answer is to ensure that what stops government from reducing fuel price? Make it as a deliberate economic policy and say fuel price should not be more than 400 naira a liter. What stops government from doing that? They have the capacity to do that. What stops government to also say the exchange rate is not going to be more than $1 to 500 naira. When government does that, what would they now do to achieve that economic prospect? Is to reduce government expenses. It's to reduce government. I think that is our problem. Government is spending so much on it. Have you seen the convoy of the President Tinubu? The convoy can take another 1 hour before the road will be clear. You know, those vehicles have to be maintained, fuel have to be bought, and so on and so on and so forth. And the personnel have to be maintained. In fact, if you see the president convoy, it looks as if they've emptied the military barracks. If you look at president convoy, look as if they emptied the police barracks all over the country. What is going on? I think a good governance is not by protecting yourself with security. The best way to protect yourself is to give the dividends of democracy to the people. When you do that, you don't need protection. You don't need all this convoy of security all over the whole place, emptying our security, army barracks and emptying police barracks. And I don't think that is the issue. So I think it is getting to a point where Nigerians are getting agitated. Hey, give us the dividends of democracy. If you want us to vote for you, if you want us to cooperate with you in your government, I think that is the issue. So I predict that if government continues to sit on its oars and believing that maybe election will be rigged, maybe the judiciary or whatever, they won't do their work, I think they'll be out for surprise, because this time around, I think the average Nigerian is very, very civil society and the rest, they are very, very concerned. International community, they are very, very concerned. So government should work harder to make sure that maybe the coalition will not work. But if they continue to relax and believe that the coalition will not work, they are wasting their time.
Okay, staying with the current economic realities in our country and also the policies of the government, the president has commented on these policies, and he said that they are painstaking measures that are going to be beneficial to the country in the long run. And there have been some commentary also from citizens and also just people in business saying that they've started to see some of these dividends. Do you actually think that in these 3 years, he's had to make decisions, make choices that are, going to be beneficial in the long run, even if, according to him right now, they are just painstaking measures? Do you think that this is also a campaign strategy? So we give him another 4 years, we see the benefits of the decisions of Mr. President.
My sister, let's make a categorical statement. Any economic policy or system that does not put food on the table of the average Nigerian is an economic voodoo. Economic voodoo, it is in the sense that it is not working. That is just the truth. See, if you tell Nigerians, tighten your seat belt, there's hope. There'll be light at the end of the tunnel. And at the same time, you are buying CV jeeps for politicians, members of House of Assembly, are 169 million for one car for members of House of Assembly, National Assembly. Times it by the number of members there. You are talking about billions of naira being wasted. Government is too fat in expenses. They need to be defat. Yes, they are just too fat, because I gave example of the convoy just now. That's a typical example. Most ministries are duplicated. The Oronsanye report, specifically said how ministries should be, streamlined, so that you don't have a case where one ministry is performing just a single function. Another ministry can also perform that same function. So all these are duplication, and you see the expenses government normally go through, unnecessary expenses. It's enough to take care of this fuel subsidy, to support fuel subsidy, and at the same time reduce the price of fuel. So I think the problem is government expenses is just too high. Because if you tell Nigerians there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we are not even seeing what do you call it, torchlight of handset. With the light, we are not even seeing it at all. We are going to hit 3 years very soon, and we are not seeing the light at all. Nigerians are still suffering. Do you know that there are people who cannot eat 3 square meals a day? You see some people well dressed, You know, I run a restaurant. Where dressed, they will come and they will tell you they have not eaten all day. You know, so in fact, even some of us that are average income earners, I think God is blessing us because a lot of Nigerians are out there, they cannot feed. So is the government concerned about that? But what is going on right now is political maneuvering in the spirit of 2027. Is that the issue? You know, you can see that governors are being hand-twisted. Most governors are being hand-twisted. They are now switching to the ruling party, or in the sense that, especially those who have second term in mind, they are now switching by fire, by force, if you allow me to use that language. They are now switching to the mainstream of the ruling party. Why? Because their personal interests is what they are protecting, not the interests of the people. We are aware of a state is in data where you expect that people will switch to APC. What do you call it? The PDP people, they are saying no, that they remain in their party, which means, you know, governors are just protecting their personal interests. In National Assembly, the same thing. They are also being hand-twisted. The senators are just forcing themselves to join the ruling party, you know, so that they can belong. So you see the whole political cloud, you know, is affecting the reality on ground, which is the economic system that we're having issues with. You know, this is the point. This is the point I'm making. So you see, if the government is sincere, and if I was in Tinubu's shoe and I see all this political maneuvering, I would have told them, hey, Nigerians need to be taken care of. I don't want to discuss politics now because we should be thinking about how to have a better life for the average Nigerian. But what are we seeing? You know, politicians are being encouraged to start working towards 2027. And it also implies that President is more concerned about his interest in 2027 to hell with, to hell with the average Nigerian, because the average Nigerian is still where they are, you know, suffering from hardship, economic hopelessness, and so on and so on and so forth. So it is not businesses are closing down. I hope you are aware. Businesses are closing down. And at the same time, the same federal government is turning around and say, come and pay more tax. We need more money. Give us more money. And they are even borrowing. My sister, what has the country gained from the removal of fuel subsidy? You remove fuel subsidy, and you gave the whole country the impression that when that fuel subsidy is removed, all will be well. They are going to have enough money to give the dividends of democracy to the average Nigerian. But what are we getting today? Rather, the government is even borrowing more loans from Chinese, from the Chinese government, Chinese company, and other loan-giving countries. They are even borrowing more money. So, what is the essence of the removal of fuel subsidy? So what you see, what you observe is what I call economic confusion. You know, for politicians are just there protecting their interests. Perhaps that is why we should give credence to ADC. I don't know. I'm not a member of any political party, but we are looking at the situation on ground. The situation on ground, does it warrant a new party coming up? We are saying the answer is yes. You know, if they can do that, and according to what I've seen in their vision and mission, they said they are basically not like any other political party, but they are there to ensure that this economic hopelessness, you know, is corrected, and whereby the interest of the average Nigerian is taken care of. So they are what I would call, or what they call, rescue mission. So I strongly believe if they can do that, you know, things will be better for every Nigerian.
Okay, yeah. Just before we move on to our next talking point, which happens to be the wave of party defections, of course, and the matters arising as it ascertains to that. If you were advising the ADC coalition, what are some strategic priorities you would tell them to take in view of the 2027 elections?
It's clear, as part of my discussion, I made it very clear that they should not just come in as any other political party. And I'm glad they're already thinking along that direction. they should come in as a rescue, on a rescue mission. That is to save Nigerians from the economic hardship, hunger, poverty, insecurity, and what have you. You know, that's what insecurity is not just when you carry a gun, when an individual carry a gun and pursue his opponent and pursue wherever the person wants to rob another. There's what you call food insecurity. You know, there's what you call economic insecurity. You know, and the average Nigerian is suffering from all of them. And that is why we are not surprised the international organization that said Nigeria is leading in the poverty. I think second, they are occupying second position, one of the most, poverty improvised country. You know, Nigeria, we are occupying the second position at the level of because of the high level of poverty in the country. So I think any serious government should be concerned about that. You know, how come with all the resources we have in the country, you know, we are still suffering from a high level of poverty. So if the ADC are well organized and they put their house in order, you know, and I think Nigerians will think towards that direction. If you even look at the influx of people, of politicians going to ADC, it's not just spent politicians, and it cuts across all political parties. APC people are there, PDP people are there, the Labour people are also there, and we also learned that even some serving governors are there. You know, during the day they put their leg in APC, then at night they put their leg in ADC. We are aware of all this that is going on. So, which means the awareness is very, very high. And that goes to show that the average Nigerian, including even the politicians, are also concerned. And especially governors that are also doing their last term, you know, the second term, you know, they are also looking, you know, most politicians are jobless. The moment they are running out of office, they try to reorganize themselves and join the party they think is going to promote their interests. And I think that is what is happening now. Virtually everybody is running to it. And one interesting thing about this ADC is something. I don't want to be tempted to call it a northern party, but from the look of things, it appears a lot of northern politicians have, you know, they are really moving into that party, you know. And if we go by their population, you know, having the highest population of voters in the country, I think APC should be ready for political war. When I say political war, in terms of election, you know, these people may have a say. We are also aware that our level of political enlightenment in the South, you know, awareness or commitment is not as high as the Northerners. During election, the Northerner can abandon his business and go and register and go and vote after election before he or she comes back. But in our case, our boys, our youth will be playing football during election, and because they believe that no matter what they do, their votes are not likely to count. So, see, the political awareness is far higher in the north, especially in north and central, northeast, and if you like, northwest as well. So, if you take this into consideration, I think the ADC has come for a rescue mission, and I just hope that the election will be free and fair. That's the worry of the average Nigerian, if the election is going to be free and fair. You listen to one Peter, who is always on internet, Facebook and Instagram, what have you. It's electoral reform. Electoral reform is the issue. One would have expected that if the present government or politicians, general, National Assembly members, if they are concerned about how come election does not work in Nigeria, I think their basic concern now should be there should be electoral reform so that the voting will be easier, so that the right candidate who has seen to have won an election will emerge. Quality candidates will emerge, you know. But when you have a situation where you don't take quality into consideration, the wrong candidate emerge. And people think it's funny. It's not funny. all those people clapping for politicians that don't deserve to be where they are, you know, at the end of the day, the masses suffer.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Anthony Ijiriri from Novena University, Ogume, Delta State, for your insightful analysis so far. We'll take a breather here, after which we'll come back with our second guest, Frank Ehiosu, who is an author and political analyst, joining us virtually. Stay with us.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Welcome back. Hopefully we have on standby our next distinguished guest, Frank Ehiosu, an author and political analyst. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning.
Good to have you.
Same here.
All right, so we have been talking about the ADC coalition and its prospects for the upcoming 2027 presidential elections. What are your comments on this?
I see it as normal. Elections are by the corner, and by some dint of happenstance. No, it's not a dint of happenstance. It's an event that was worked on, as in by folks who were in the party, because whether we like it or not, the ADC did not become a party of renown by chance. The party has been registered for, I'm sure, about 2 decades or thereabouts, for quite some time. So what gave it renown presently is the fact that so many stalwarts from PDP especially have opted to leave their party and go elsewhere, because PDP unfortunately appears to be a sinking ship based on the antics that its leaders have been opted for. So the fact that ADC is being talked about right now, and the coalition so-called, is I counted it as normal. I'm not attributing anything unique to it, because in our political evolution, it's been unfortunate that political parties have been driven without peculiar identity, especially in this Fourth Republic. You know, from our independence days, when Nigeria was formed as a country where we got our independence, or from the First Republic so-called, you have political parties where you could talk about some peculiar sense of identity in terms of ideology. But what we have in this Fourth Republic are mere associations looking for power at all costs. They sell different narratives, just like we had the one that came on board in 2014, which is in power presently. Between 2014 and today, I'm sure Nigerians have their verdict in terms of the performance of the coalition then, which is the party in power today, APC. So there's a new one, ADC in quotes, that is aiming to take over power. It is good that there's competition, it's part of democracy. But like I said, it's normal. I don't give it any peculiar positive attribute, in the sense that personally, I can't define it differently from what has been. During the First Republic, when you hear of action group, you could tell, okay, this party stands for some fundamentals. In terms of ideology, they swim in the pool of democratic socialism. When you hear of NCNC, you say, okay, this is a party that is center-right. You hear of the MPC, you say, okay, this is the party that is the extreme right. They had identities then. As for the First Republic, those were the 3 major political parties. By the Second Republic, we had 5 major political parties. The NPN, which was more like MPC, as in evolving. You had the UPN, which was more like the AG that evolved at that time. You had the PRP, you had the GFPP, and the a few others that were not of so much consequence. As that time, there was some modicum of identity in terms of ideological direction. But in the Third Republic, the one that came up under the IBB, there was some modicum of ideology in terms of where they stood, even if it was imposed by the military. IBB set the two political parties up that we had then, the SDP and the NRC. The SDP was the party that was center left, while the NRC was the one that was center right. You know, IBB formed the two parties and imposed the ideology upon them in a sense. He said a little to the left, a little to the right. NRC was a little to the right, SDP was a little to the left. But in this Fourth Republic, unfortunately, the parties have become amorphous, no clear sense of identity. That is why you cannot distinguish between one and the other. Even if you have 5, you have 10, you have 20, there isn't anything clearly that stands them out. It appears as if what we call ideology now would fit into the mold of what 50 Cent professed in his song, "Get Rich or Die Trying." That would seem to be something that permits the entire space of all the parties we, in quotes, have in this Fourth Republic. But it's a good development that we have ADC. So
okay, sir, just before you go on, because we would want to still get to know your insights, we'll take a short commercial break. We'll be back.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Yes, so just before the break, our guest Frank Ehiosun was giving us insights about the ADC coalition and also just the whole structure of the Nigerian political landscape. Please go on, sir.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, it's a good development that people would have alternatives. We are not where we ought to be, but we are attempting to make progress. Unfortunately, the pace is quite dismal, but that is what it is. So like I said, the ADC is a welcome development because the APC has become quite a behemoth. And for the people to count in a sense, they must have options. One of the little challenges I have with the political parties, which I think even ADC should prime in our consideration, is the fact that democracies thrive when the power of the people is supreme. Yes, generally the people are the ones that have the residence of sovereignty. It rests upon the people, no doubt. But the expression of that sovereignty is duly vitalized when the people can express their wishes and their votes count. And so, but if you observe what happened in 2014 or 2015, when you had the APC that came on board, coalitions came together. The pursuit of power was anchored less on the value placed on the votes that individuals have. It was less on that fundamental of universal adult suffrage. It was more on structural alignment, where people that have influence or power or have access to power and on such note could influence the direction in which people vote. Sometimes not necessarily by ideas or by appeals, but by the use of machinery of state. So that has not changed so much. Even if there's been some improvement in INEC with beavers and some bit of modification in the voting patterns, but it's not who yet. Right now, the political class from all divides are not afraid of the voters because individuals casting their votes, having due cumulative effects, doesn't seem to be as impactful as that structural impact where people with influence or access to certain paraphernalias of office are able to impact the system or manipulate the system in a sense. So the ADC is a good initiative. I even wish there could be more coalitions to ensure that there's healthy competition, because democracy does not stand quite, but on two basic pillars, and stands on those pillars pari passu, as Simon Martin Luther published in his piece, The Political Man, in 1954, that it stands on two fundamental pillars, the pillars of conflict and the pillar of consensus. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much for those insights. Now, moving on to our next talking point, which happens to be the recent wave of party defections. What would you say are the most common triggers for the wave of defection, mass defections, I will call it, that we've seen in our political cycle recently?
It's not very different from what I affirmed earlier. Because I start by stating the fact that the political parties don't have peculiar differences. Because the identity doesn't vary. Because identity is supposed to be clear based on the ideological lineage. But where there's no ideology, anything goes. So, yes, people have a right to decamp from one party to the other. There is no democracy the world over where that doesn't happen. People have a choice to say, okay, I don't like this party anymore. Initially, I was a leftist. All of a sudden, I'm thinking that no, I should be a rightist. Power should be more towards the side of authority rather than being towards the people. So the basic difference between the left and the right is that the right tilts towards power being centralized within the purview of those who control the sphere of state, while the leftists believe that power should be centralized more towards the people, the masses, those who ordinarily have retainership of the sovereignty that imposed every nation stands upon. So all these people that are decamping from one point to the other is because there isn't any clear sense of proper governance. It is driven by benefit. So when you are in a political party and it seems like that party doesn't control the realms of power, and if it doesn't control the realms of power, it doesn't have the wherewithal to give out contracts. It doesn't have the wherewithal to determine policies as to how businesses run, how market function, how the economy takes its appropriate tide and all whatnot. So they also decamp from one point to the other. That's why I find this kind of mass decamping. In fact, if you attempt to peruse material, both in the recent past and distant past, you hardly find such things happening in other countries. So it speaks to the fact that our political system is sick. That you just have people in their droves, thousands, say they are decamping in group. Where does that happen? In the founding days of men that had ideals, even when Karl Marx, in his profound opinion, wrote his fundamental piece within the purview of dialectical materialism, you have people swimming from one foot to the other in terms of decamping. As profound as Karl Marx's views were, yeah, they impacted the unions in his time, not until Vladimir Lenin modified it and improved upon it and vitalized it in Russia. It didn't quite have so much momentum.
All right, sir, thank you so much for your insights on these talking points which we brought on board today. Frank Ehiosu, an author and an excellent political analyst. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you too. I appreciate it.